All right, next up we have a recent study that was conducted, which showed that um, crushes or intense um, fixations on people outside of your relations contributes significantly to relationship dissatisfaction. I think that that's a good enough way to sum that up.
Mhm.
Which also, excuse me, which then therefore contributes to overall relationship, like, breakdowns, if you will. So we'll go ahead and provide some context here. Um, so this is an article. This here says intense outside crushes linked to poor relationship quality. Study finds. A recent study published in the Journal of Sex Research found that stronger attraction to a potential alternative partner outside of one's primary relationship was associated with lower relationship quality. But few participants acted on this attraction by becoming romantically or sexually involved with their crush. Decreased relationship quality was linked to a higher desire for infidelity and an increased likelihood of breaking up with the primary partner 4 months later. Intimate relationships are valued for their contribution to personal happiness and well being, with monogamy commonly upheld as a crucial component of these bonds. However, individuals in committed relationships often find themselves attracted to others outside of their primary partnership, posing a challenge to their exclusivity agreements. While noticing attractive others is a natural and automatic process, acting on these attractions or allowing them to detract from the primary relationship can lead to decreased relationship satisfaction, potential infidelity, and breakups. This study, conducted by Charlene F. Beluan, I hope I'm saying that right. Bellon, let's just say Bellon, and Lucia F. O'Sullivan, involved 542 adult participants aged 22 to 35 years from the US or Canada who were in committed relationships for at least 3 months and had reported feeling attracted to someone outside their relationship. These participants were recruited through social media and crowdsourcing websites and completed two surveys, one at the beginning of the study and a follow-up 4 months later. These surveys included measures on demographics, relationship characteristics, infidelity, characteristics of attraction towards an alternative, subjective opportunity for connection, relationship satisfaction, perceived quality of alternatives, investment in the relationship, commitment, sexual satisfaction, and relationship dissolution. Of the initial participants, 358 completed the follow up survey, providing data on relationship quality over time and whether they engaged in infidelity with their primary crush. About half of the participants had an agreement with their partners not to be attracted to others, yet most reported attractions to one or more individuals outside their primary relationship. These attractions were often not disclosed to their partners. Despite these attractions, participants generally did not see them as harmful to their relationships, with many not desiring any change in their feelings toward their crushes. However, attraction intensity was found to negatively affect relationship satisfaction and investment and was positively associated with the perceived quality of alternatives. Notably, a minority of participants experienced a breakup or engaged in infidelity related to their crush over the 4 month study period, although a small percentage expressed a desire for infidelity if the opportunity arose. The study suggests that while attraction to others is common, its impact on relationship quality varies, with intense attractions potentially leading to negative outcomes such as decreased satisfaction, commitment, and ultimately relationship disillusion or infidelity. One limitation highlighted by the authors in the study's reliance on data from one partner in the relationship, which might not fully capture how extradietic attractions influence relationship dynamics. The study, it's just a little crush attraction to an alternative romantic relationship quality, breakups, and infidelity, was authored by Charlene F. Bellon and Lucia F. O'Sullivan.
Interesting.
So essentially, what this is saying is um, people who carry on crushes that exist outside of the relationship um, pose a risk to the degradation of the quality of the current relationship that they are in. But the study, small as it may be, found that the instances of actual breakup or actual infidelity were small by comparison. So the overall evidence of people generally carrying on crushes, and that could contribute to the quality of their relationship that they are in decreasing.
Correct.
So you brought this article to my attention for this, and I think this is pretty interesting stuff. I guess I can go ahead and provide my thoughts on this first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, like I said before, I think the general premise of this thing is that, um, what did they call this? They call it uh, a stronger attraction to potential alternative partner, a crush, outside of one's primary relationship was associated with lower relationship quality. So, what I was reading from this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong,
Mm-hmm.
what I was reading from this is people who are in relationships and are reporting a rather low quality of their relationships have a higher likelihood to be infatuated with a crush outside of the relationship. That's what I kind of read from it.
Mm-hmm.
But me personally, what I think is more likely than not is if anyone in a relationship has a fixation on an individual, a crush, if you will, outside of the relationship, even if the quality of that relationship is good or strong, there's a higher likelihood that if that crush continues to intensify, it will cause the lowering of the quality of the relationship.
Correct.
So I
Yeah.
think that the crush aspect of it, whether it's whoever it is, whoever is in the relationship who's doing this, if you develop this crush and and the development of that crush intensifies, even if you're in a good situation, it can cause the quality of the relationship to deteriorate.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess cognitively, if I'm going to kind of sum it up, you're kind of looking at your crush and wondering what the opportunities there could be, and your attention to your own relationship is being diverted in such a way that it can cause the quality of the current relationship that you're in to deteriorate.
Correct.
So I don't I get a little confused with whether the article was suggesting that or whether the article was suggesting that people in already deteriorated relationships are more likely than not to seek out crushes. I was a bit confused where they stood on that. But generally speaking, for me, I kind of feel like everyone has their eye out for the next opportunity. And even if you're in a good situation, it's very easy to quickly become dissatisfied with your current situation if you perceive an opportunity for someone else to be an upgrade in various capacities.
Agree.
And I think that a lot of that is going on out here where people are kind of in these quote unquote monogamous relationships with one eye open to the next opportunity to elevate or to evolve or to step up or to improve. And that improvement can be in a litany of ways. It can be an improvement in lifestyle, money and resources. It can be an improvement in looks. It can be an improvement in various ways. It doesn't just have to be about those things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think oftentimes this can be broken down along gender lines. Um, generalizing it a bit, I think the likelihood that a woman who is in a quality relationship may see an opportunity to upgrade is looking at that along resource and lifestyle lines. Most likely, not saying that that's always the case, but I think most likely that's the angle that we're coming at it from. I'm not trying to generalize. I'm
Yeah, I'm
just
throwing
saying that.
tomatoes over here, bro.
And and likewise, I think the likelihood that a man may seek out crushes, thereby lowering the quality of his relationship, is if he's looking at a woman and saying, I think that in all likelihood, it's most likely a physical thing, in my opinion, if it's coming from a man. Now, those are generalizations, so the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, right? I'm not trying to suggest that is always the case for men or women when it comes to that kind of thing. I'm just generalizing it based upon what the diaspora of this kind of dynamic will work itself out in real time. But moreover, I think it's a situation where people have an eye open, and even if the quality of said relationship is good, strong, whatever you want to say, um, if a crush comes along over time, if the connection with that crush for that person intensifies, it can cause that the good standing of that relationship to begin to deteriorate. There's the possibility for that. So that was primarily my main takeaway from this. But again, I don't know if I was not reading into the findings of this correctly or not. That was kind of what I interpreted from it.
No, I think it was that one. I think that's what they were getting at. Just overall, it's kind of the best way I could put it is that it's kind of like limited food on the table. It's kind of one of those self-serve things, but it's literally only 2 servings there. So you and the person in the relationship, y'all have to share from this shared table. The thing is that when the crush is in somebody's mind, somebody's eating from the plate. So the other party's people aren't getting full no more. That person, and that was interesting. I was hoping they would clarify intensity, or intensifies, because that's relative. But just the mere presence of this person, they're a reminder that I've got options, or things could be better, or whatever. Because the big thing about crushes is they're fantasy people. I remember, bro, it was some crush situation, and I'm like, I'm finally on the map, y'all. We out here. We made it. And I'm out here, and I'm doing my thing or whatever. And for one reason or another, it wasn't hitting by what I thought it was. And it was all in my head. I made up everything off a pretty smile and whatever. And so I say that to say is that whoever is doing the fantasizing, whoever has the crush, they're inviting that person's energy around their relationship, whether they acknowledge it, know it, like it or not. And whenever the next party does the next thing, they're automatically stacked to the fantasy person. And I think that that's why over time, there's a decline in everything. So I think the best practice, man, you know what I'm saying? Work husbands, work wives. Now that we doing remote work, you know what I'm saying? Y'all gotta be pen pals. But if y'all still in brick and mortar, that's what I'm saying. This is kind of hard to gauge. This is interesting that they did a study on this. This is kind of something in the back of your mind you kind of already felt. But the cool thing about studies is it adds some level of validity to some way that you was feeling. So yeah, I kind of feel like this. Yeah, man, I kind of feel like this has been going on. This is what's going on in a lot of relationships. And to tie in a topic that we did last week, I believe that was last week, where it's just so many options for people nowadays. And whenever you got so many options in your phone, people got crushes everywhere now. So you don't have to see the person in real life as some clown online parading around and being that fantasy person for them. So, and that in and of itself is introducing somebody at y'all table, and they taking away from y'all. So I think best practice, man, if somebody out there and they had something, they thought it was, benign, hey man, reconsider, think about it again, or whenever that stuff comes up, man, just make sure that they're not taking away from what you're already got going, because the grass is generally never greener. But yeah, man, that's I thought it was pretty interesting, man. Study, basically breaking down that, hey, man, crushing may not be so innocent after all.
Well, yeah, it used to be more innocent than it is today because you brought up the main take. Like to me, this is another example of something that has been exacerbated by the advent of the internet. It's just fundamentally changed people's behavior. It just inside and out.
Boy, I
The
tell
internet
you.
has just changed. The internet has fundamentally changed people's behaviors, and I've said before that, you know, first of all, this is a small sample size.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
only like, yeah, so it's not even that, it's not a ton of people for you to be conclusive in terms of the
yeah.
findings. But, nevertheless, like, this is what gives you some insight onto why things like polyamory is on the rise. Because the idea is, okay, let's just accept this for what it is. I'm gonna have my one eye open to looking at whatever else. You're gonna have your one eye open looking to whatever else. I can grab this thing, right? And I have access to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of women all over the place. And you vice versa with you when it comes to men on your phone. So this is an accepted reality. How can I emotionally guard myself against being ruined by that reality? Well, let's just all agree that we're just going to share each other. So, like, polyamorous relationships are on the rise in direct result for this kind of dynamic,
Mhm.
because otherwise it's hopeless, right? Why even bother entertaining the idea that I'm going to be in a relationship with somebody if I have to deal with the ongoing reality that my partner has a crush or has this many people DMing them every day, or they're DMing other people this often. I got to check phones and message. Like, I don't want to deal with this stuff. It's exhausting. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. Is it?
Uh,
I gotta deal with my boyfriend or my girlfriend, and every time that they post something, are any of the dudes who are liking your pics interested in you? Are they leaving comments? All of this stuff is just weird and goofy, and it's exhausting. So it's like, how do we emotionally protect ourselves from feeling compromised by this? Well, let's just all agree to date each other openly, and let's be able to benefit from the structuralization of relationships, but also understand that mentally and emotionally, at a moment's notice, I have other partners because my options are open. Or what can we call that so that we can put a title on it, put a label on it, so that we can feel better about it and not feel morally corrupt from it? Oh, let's just say we're in a polyamorous relationship. The word relationship is still present in the title. We still have some kind of tie to one another, but at the end of the day, do we truly belong to each other exclusively? Absolutely not. And the reason why is because everybody has limitless options at all times, thanks to the internet, thanks to social media, thanks to dating apps. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can imagine, like, you got a boyfriend or a girlfriend, like, like, if a woman has a boyfriend, right? Does he still have his Bumble account active?
I
He
don't think
probably
he
still
does.
swipes on the side. He probably still be swiping.
I mean, who knows what he's really doing? But technically, I don't think he should, bro. Technically, I think you should give it up.
No, yeah, like no, but that's what I'm saying though. Like, I would agree. Like, I feel like if you're in something, you
Mhm.
should your swiping should be retired.
You would
But
think.
the current state of affairs, I would imagine, is such that people still swiping. So it's like, this is where we are with this stuff. So I think that this kind of study, albeit the small sample size that it is, it's a microcosm of what's happening in the general population overall. I personally, I find it exhausting. I think that it is exhausting. It's tiring. Like, who wants to deal with this every day? It's exhausting.
I know I don't.
So, I hear why people, I'm not ready to, I'm not ready to divest entirely because I'm old. Like, I'm not so young to where I'm completely apathetic towards the notion of doing this the traditional way. But to those who are, I can get it because there's just so much smoke screen and temptation and all kinds of crap. And even if we're not talking about looks and sex, it can be anything, you know, like I on like firsthand accounts. This is the last thing that I'll say.
Mhm.
I'm not making this up. So I know this is going on because I've seen it with my own eyes. How prevalent is it? I don't know. I'm inclined to agree it's more prevalent than not. But I can remember, you know, when I was when I actually worked around other people, you know, when I wasn't a remote worker and when I had my restaurant job and I was around other women, working around a lot of women on a regular basis, I would talk to them. You know what I'm saying? You fraternize with people you work with, your friends, you hang out with them after work, you go have drinks and stuff or whatever. I lost count of the amount of women who would talk about how they have a boyfriend, but they feel like this guy who they see on their posts in their feeds or whatever would be like better for them. And they're thinking about breaking up with their guys. And it's like, well, what makes you think that way? And the post that the guy is posting is stuff with him shopping or he's driving his car or he's on his boat or it's just something like
Petting
that.
his dog.
And it's yeah, and it's just like, okay, well, what is it about what he posts that makes you think that it's an upgrade? You like, there's nothing that this guy is posting that is giving you insight into the kind of man he is. All he's posting is superficial stuff. Yet, despite the superficiality inherent in what he posts, you think that he might be an upgrade from your current relationship.
Yes.
And you don't even know who he is as a person.
Yes.
You're just seeing the nature of his post and you're making that conclusion. So my whole thing at that point, like I learned that this is a thing that happens where women are doing stuff like that. Now, like I said before, men may be doing it but with looks. And women may be doing it that way. And maybe there's some cross pollination where women do it for looks and men do it for other reasons. I don't know. But the thing is, that shit is happening.
It's going on.
It is, and I've seen it too many times play out. I've had way too many women who I've been around in close proximity, whether I work with them or otherwise, who even were saying this stuff to me, confiding in me, like, "Oh, I really care about this guy. I really like my boyfriend," but and it's like this stuff is out of control. And mind you, this stuff was being told to me 6, 7 years ago when it was less rampant than it is now. So take that for what it is, man. I can understand why some might put some stock into a study like this. I get it, because it's just the advent of limitless options is here and it's here to stay for sure. So how you navigate that, hey man, to each their own. You're gonna have to figure that out for yourself.
Amen.
But it is definitely something that is contributing to generally a lack of satisfaction and lack of overall quality of satisfaction, I think, when it comes to a lot of people with these monogamy setups.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say, man, is it was like a guy, like a marriage counselor dude. He had came to like a um little lecture series thing I used to go to. So him and his wife came. They were married for like 20 some years or whatever. Um, but the big principle that I took away from them is that they said if like there's a dispute, something that went on, blasey splees or whatever, that kind of introduced like that you two are supposed to be like close like this, and that dispute, whatever, whoop de whoop, it introduces like a little bit of light into the relationship. Like it's like a gap, things have been breached. They said if you don't close that immediately, then that breach is gonna be bigger than you guys can handle one day. And kind of like staying on top of conflict, staying on top of disagreement, staying on top of whatever. I think the art of working on relationships, working on differences, working on things is a lost art. I think it's also feel people might feel as though it is obsolete because there are so many options. Why work on this when I can just hit the market again? So there's a difference in mentality, but I would just say for those, man, that are still out there working on something, still trying to make something happen, don't allow, and this is just for your partner's sake, you know what I'm saying? Even if there is an inkling of the grass could be greener, not trying to win nobody over, nothing like that, but making sure that y'all working on those shadow things, those undiscussed things to bridge to close that gap in between y'all. So even if it is like some dude online or some dude's TV show, reality show, or in real life that she might have some fancy towards, so long as that you have a stacked deck on your favor towards, you know, what you're offering and what you're bringing to the table. You know what I'm saying? I really feels like that should be some type of solid. So I ain't trying to be doom and gloom here, but because how could you know that the person has a crush? You know, what are you gonna do? You know, that's a whole nother set of miseries. But so what can you do to make sure that you stand solid within your relationship? Make sure you close those gaps and disagreements so things don't fester and grow in the long term. So, hey man, best of luck to y'all, man. But very interesting study here, y'all. Yeah, the grass ain't always green. I would say that.
Yeah, I think that that's sage advice. I would just say cynically that you just kind of have to go into this knowing that respectively they're gonna have their crushes. I mean,
Hey, you are
and,
cynical.
I think part of the closing of the gap, if you will,
Yeah,
using your analogy,
yeah.
is the frequent, constant upkeep and maintenance that you have to apply to it to ensure that those crushes don't too severely adversely affect what you got going on. But
Come on,
but
man.
I'm just saying to try and say that you are going to create this environment in which you are devoid of said crushes. I think we're past that point.
Oh no, you can. Yeah, no, you can't do that.
I don't see it. I think everyone's going to have them regardless. You
Yeah,
just got to navigate it as best you can.
yeah. Well said. Good luck, y'all. Hey, like and subscribe though.
Have a crush on this channel though,
Yeah, you know what I'm
please.
saying, and act it out
Yeah,
and hit subscribe.
yeah.